What is up, AFC North football fans, and welcome into another edition of the AFC North Roundtable powered by BetUS. Week 3 is in the books. Some of the boys are feeling real confident right now. Some of the boys, not so much. Can't wait to dive into the Week 3 recap here on the AFC North Roundtable. So without further ado, let's bring them all on, including the man who many laughed at when he predicted that this team would be at the top. But through 3 weeks, he stands alone. Marky Mark from down under. They keep finding a way. 3-0. How are you feeling, my friend?
I thought we were going to be on the bottom by this time. I thought it would be 0-3, but here we are, 3-0. Besides my voice, I had a cold over the weekend, just getting over that. But nothing stops him doing podcasts. So I will sound like this probably the whole time, but I'm feeling pretty good in a Steelers sense. I feel very good.
I was just going to say, cold be damned. There's no way you could be feeling bad right now after what the Steelers have been showing you for 3 weeks. Finally on the board are the Baltimore Ravens. Sam I Am coming in to talk to me about the dismantling of the Dallas Cowboys this past weekend. I know you're feeling good tonight, Sam.
I'm dressed up. I'm ready to go. Finally got in the win column. Feeling great. Bills are up next, and I know Z-Bot, you're a little amped up for that game too, but got the win, and I'm feeling pretty good. Can't complain.
Listen, in my defense, I would argue that any competent football fan is excited to watch Josh Allen take on Lamar Jackson on Sunday Night Football. That is going to be a show. Cannot wait for that game on Sunday Night Football. I don't know which one of these boys to bring in next because I don't know which one I feel worse for right now, but I think I'll bring in Zay because Zay, talk about a spot where you thought these Browns had a guaranteed W, especially when the Giants spot them 7 points before 10 seconds are off the clock. Are you feeling all right a few days removed after the loss?
I'm feeling way better than I was feeling yesterday and the day before. I tell you that. The X is not a very friendly place. I'm used to the TikTok community. I can handle, trolls in that aspect. I can handle the Instagram, but Twitter, that's a little different breed over there. So I got to start pumping my brakes on what I do and what I say, but I'm feeling all right now, and I'm on to Vegas, man.
Yeah, Twitter, you got to have some thick skin on Twitter. I don't know what the TikTok community looks like. I sure as hell know what the X community looks like. If it's anything, if TikTok's anything like Twitter, and I'm guessing from what you said, it's not, you got to have your guard up at all times. I'm assuming Zim has had his guard up after what we saw on Monday night. Zim, I don't even know I just don't know what else to say to you at this point anymore. Joe Burrow goes out, puts on a masterclass offensively, 33 points. That usually gets it done in this league. Yet Jaden Daniels decides to drop one of the best rookie performances we've seen in the last decade. How you feeling tonight?
Complete shambles. It's like, man, I speechless. The guy that they say talks too much, when you lose, it ain't too much you can really say, honestly. And I know people like to spin it, how they going to spin it, but damn, you know what I mean? I thought the game could be close. I just didn't think it would go that way. I thought it would be another way. And the Bengals are in a tough spot, people.
We're going to dive into that game shortly. Before we do, let's go take a look at the updated odds currently on BetUS to win the AFC North. Mark, I'm interested in your thoughts on this because those Steelers riding high at 3-0. You'd figure the best start through 3 weeks would have the best odds to win the division. That is not the case. Right now, the 1-2 Baltimore Ravens are plus 120, the favorite to win the AFC North. Your Steelers, however, not all that far behind at plus 200. The Bengals, despite being 3-0, Zim, the silver lining, they're only 150 points shy of the undefeated Steelers. And then, Zay, just as quick as you can here, give me your synopsis of the fact the Cleveland Browns are plus 1,000 to win this division right now.
I mean, there's been 6 teams since 79 who have made the playoffs, and I don't even know what the stat is to win the division, yet somehow they're plus 350. Vegas must know something that I don't. So, hey, get your donations in now while you can.
Zay said it best. If you want to make your donation, and hopefully your donation turns into a donation back into your own bank account, 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit right now on BetUS using the promo code YouTube150. That'll also get you 125% bonus on your next two deposits after that. Zim, what do you say we just get it out of the way? Let's start with the game we saw most recently on Monday Night Football. While my Bills were laying the hammer on them Jacksonville Jaguars, there was a dogfight going down at Paycor Stadium, and the live look-ins, they kept dropping into the game, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, there's no way the Commanders have the lead. There's no way they add to this lead. Oh my God, at the end here, there's no way the Commanders are going to pull this off. Zay just alluded to it. Since 1979, 6 teams have made the playoffs. Since starting 0-3, since 2000, only one team has made it. I will say the silver lining for you here is that the Cincinnati Bengals, for whatever reason, they love to start out slow. They love to get it going after that. But this does feel a little bit different than years past year. You're now talking about a loss to a rookie-led Washington Commanders team. You're talking about a loss to the New England Patriots. No one knows what's going on in Cincinnati right now. All we do know is Joe Burrow's playing pretty damn good football, and this defense can't match it. Mark, as you sit here at the top of the division, looking at a Bengals team that many would argue would be fighting for the top of the division, especially early on here with a game against those Commanders and these Patriots, what was your biggest takeaway from Monday Night Football as the Bengals drop one to the Commanders?
You know, to be truthfully honest, I want to talk about the Bengals suck. We all know that. But I want to talk about Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Wasn't he fantastic? Wasn't Jaden Daniels on point? And he was the rookie to get 94% completion rate. He had 2 absolute bombs to Scary Terry. Like, I thought the game was so much fun. I was doing it live on my channel, having a good time. The Bengals, I said it to you guys last week, they had to go out and win this one to get back into it 1-2. Now they're in a very, 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 very tough spot, being 0-3. But I thought overall the football game was awesome. I think a lot of people counted out the Washington Commanders, even myself, and we got to play them shortly too. I just thought that Jaden Daniels, man, he was on fire. He was reading his correct routes all over the shop. He was getting the right passing down. They went. Oh, the other bloke too. Who's their coach? Who's the coach for the Commanders? Dan Quinn.
Yep.
Balls of steel as well. He went for it on 4th down like twice in a row. There was no punts in the game too. Three times.
That's 2 weeks in a row. They have not turned the ball over. They have not punted.
Yeah, so that would have been like, I know that Joe Burrow played a really good game too, and I like there was a chance it could have came back near the very end, but it was like a college football score. I think that overall the Commanders showed up and the better team won. And maybe it's a little bit unlucky for the Bengals, and maybe not. They aren't the worst team in the NFL. But that game was pretty exciting to a sense of Jaden Daniels putting himself on the map and saying, "Here I am, NFL. Take a look at me."
Mm-hmm. Funny you mentioned
it was not exciting. Stop telling people that. That game was terrible.
You know, Mark, it's funny you mentioned that was a college-type score because Cam Taylor-Britt thought it would be a college-type offense that he was going to be going up against on Monday Night Football. You couldn't have hit the nail harder on the head. Jaden Daniels, I mean, we're talking about, like I said at the top of the show, one of the best rookie performances in recent memory here. 21 of 23, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, including that bomb to Terry McLaurin to seal the game. But it wasn't just that. 12 carries, 39 yards, and a scoring touchdown as well on the ground. Absolutely baller game from the rookie. Sam, you're watching this one. Obviously, as a Ravens fan, you feel going into the year, our biggest competitor is probably going to be these Bengals fighting it out for the top of the division. So as you beat up on the Cowboys, you take that into Monday night and you're watching these Bengals, your biggest takeaway from what you saw against the Commanders?
I am shocked. I'm not going to lie. Just last week, I was definitely saying that the Bengals are going to win. The Bengals' pass defense, I thought, was built to stop the Chiefs for sure. So you think coming in against the Commanders team with the rookie QB that the Bengals will have what it takes to get the job done, but nothing to it. Looks like Jaden Daniels was getting away with whatever he wanted as a rookie. So I'm happy as a Ravens fan knowing that the Bengals are probably not going to do well this year because you don't have a good pass defense. Your rush defense has always been terrible. You have to rely on Joe Burrow to get the job done. And, of course, if you're throwing 33, 34 points a game with the Bengals offense, you have a chance to win most games. But if you're giving up that many points to a rookie QB, what are you going to do against Lamar Jackson? What are you going to do against these upper tier teams like the Buffalo Bills who are going to come to town? And if you go to get to the postseason, you have to play them. So it's definitely encouraging to see a Bengals team suffer the way they did on one of the biggest stages of the regular season, meaning Monday Night Football. Very happy with the loss, but very, very surprising considering what I thought about the Bengals' pass defense coming into the season.
Surprising is probably the best way to put it. Zay, is that how you felt? Were you just stunned about what you saw on Monday Night Football, especially the fact that the Commanders were able to put up 38 points? We're talking about a team the week prior against the Giants team that your Browns faced. They weren't able to score a touchdown, yet somehow were still able to pull off the victory. That seemed improbable. And then all of a sudden they go into Cincinnati, 38 points. The offense looks like one of the best in the league. What was your takeaway from Monday night?
You asked how I feel. I'm grateful. Zim, I can't thank y'all enough down there in Kentucky, man. Like, y'all really did us a service, at least for a few hours, by taking a little bit of heat off of up here in Cleveland, because it's a catastrophe over here. I don't think we really care too much about anybody in the division because we got to worry about ourselves. So my biggest takeaway is I'm grateful. However, they did mention on the broadcast Jaden Daniels was pretty much sick of the shadow of being in the shadow of Joe Burrow. And, I mean, he pretty much put that on display. So Jaden Daniels is here. He's for real. And the Commanders are no longer a walkover when we see them on our schedule because everyone in the AFC North has got to go play them.
Zim, I've been waiting since Monday night to hear from you because I just don't get it. I don't get it. Coming from a Bills fan perspective, the Bengals have always had the Bills number. And every time the Bengals are in a big opportunity, it seems like they step up to the challenge. You go into Monday night, you know the statistics that go against 0-3 teams and how it winds up panning out for them over time. You would think in a moment like this, the Bengals go out and play their best football. You could argue offensively, this was the best football that they played all year. I don't know how it gets much better than 29-38, 324 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks from Burrow. That does not result in a W, especially when you're talking about Jamar Chase. People were saying, not fully available during the offseason. Could that be something? He balls out in this game too. It still isn't enough. Then we see the footage after the game. Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow walking into a private room to hash this out. It just seems to be kind of avalanching in Cincinnati, and no one seems to have the answer as to why. Do you? I don't know if you do, but do you have any semblance of what's going on? And as you're watching Monday night, what are your overall thoughts 3 weeks in here? These Bengals are 0-3.
It's so much to unpack with this team. There's not one thing that you could just point to and say, that's the reason. And you know how it is. Like, we all talk amongst our fan base and everybody has their own thing. They might have their own coming into the season. I told y'all we should have did this. I told y'all we should have did it. And I just feel like the Bengals in all 3 of these games, no matter what you do, like, In week 1, Jacoby Brissett only throws for 120 yards. Week 2, Pat Mahomes has the worst passing game of his NFL career. 3 picks. They had 1 nullified. Then so you're thinking just stop the run. In this game, they do stop Brian Robinson. He averages 2.1 yards a carry and has 30 yards. Jaden Daniels has another 30 yards. But you're thinking that's, the Bengals didn't even punt and they lose a game. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the only thing that I come up with is every single game, I feel like bad teams always figure out ways to lose. And good teams just figure out little small things to win. And no matter what, it's never complimentary. If the offense is cooking, the defense is not. Especially, we had a chance to, go and strike back at the halftime. They kicked the ball to Austin Eckler runs a 60-yard return all the way down the field, and it took all the wind out of our sails. And so now he's super comfortable. He's up 8, and now he's like, yeah, I'm on y'all 30-yard line, just like that. And it's all these little small things. And then, we missed the field goal for McPherson, who we just extended. And we, as Bengals fans, feel like he's a top 10 kicker. You can't miss any field goals if you're going to be a top 10 kicker. And part of you were saying, we played the Bills before. Yeah, in those games, in those big games, he didn't miss any field goals. And I thought that took a lot of wind out of their sails too. Anytime that we got these dudes in a stop, they would just go for it. They would go for it on every 4th down, and they got it. And then when we had a 4th down, we wouldn't go for it. And we'd kick a field goal and settle it. And it was almost like somebody wasn't telling the coach, hey, look, bullets are flying, bro. Whether you get this 4th down or not, you got to go for it. But he still was in the mode of yeah, we'll get him. And I feel like they've been too patient, too complacent, starting from week 1. I don't think he has them motivated enough or whatever, but that's just one thing. And it's just like a million things that I could point out. But I just end up with bad teams. I think they're talented. I know that because all these teams been like, you ain't going to have Jamar Chase, you ain't going to have T. Higgins. So that's letting me know that y'all think that they're good. But now they finally got a chance to go play a game together. And bad teams just figure out ways when you're not cohesive. You figure out ways to like lose a game. It could be 4th and 16 like last week. And you just figure out something stupid to do to like mess it up. Even though I didn't like that call. But like those are the little things that is just like, and at the end of the day, nobody cares. They're just like, you're 0-3. And so that's just how it is. And that's the nature of football. And that's the beauty of football sometimes too. Because when you lose, you magnify everything and be like, damn, we could have did that, we could have that. And it kind of opens your eyes to different things that you probably wouldn't have even thought about if you had won the game.
Joe Burrow has some of the best statistics in NFL history starting 0-3. Real quickly, talk to me about what you're seeing from this defense because you saw the performance this past weekend. I don't know how it gets much better from the quarterback perspective. And then last week, defensively, you could argue that game, Burrow, if they don't turn the ball over and allow the Chiefs to get that late score that winds up being maybe the difference maker. Really, at the end of the game, though, this game boiled down to was a defensive pass interference. These Bengals defensively right now, is that the biggest Achilles heel in your opinion? And if so, why is that?
No. No. Week 1, again, they came into the game as the second best pass defense in football. So it's like every week is something different. It's like you don't really know what they are. Like you could say, oh, well, like Cam Taylor-Britt got cooked or whatever. Yeah, he came into the game as the number 1 rated cornerback in Pro Football Focus and had in his last 10 games had 5 picks. So it's like every little thing that you could be like, man, I wish they would have did that. Even I'll look at Burrow because I look at him under a very like big magnifying glass. I think his red zone efficiency is really bad, but somebody told me that, man, I don't know if he can handle the blitz. Burrow was 15 for 15, 2 touchdowns, 150 yards against the blitz. He didn't even miss a pass, and you still lose the game. And it's just like the defense always has his hand in it, but it's like it's so hard to pinpoint what it is. As a community, Bengals fans, we talk about like our injuries. Like I won't do that on here, but I think the defensive line is like a big part of that. And what you saw from Jaden Daniels, I'm with, I don't know who said, hey, look, Jaden Daniels did his thing. I'm with you 1000%. The throw he threw at the end was incredible. But there's also something to be said about dude was playing like he was playing a 7-on-7 the whole entire game. Like he was sitting back there super comfortable, smiling. You talked about him afterwards. He told the Bengals fans go home on the sideline, like at our stadium, like which is nuts. Then pop this stuff afterwards and say, yeah, like I'm not behind Joe Burrow and stuff. He felt so comfortable. He was smiling the whole entire time. When it was 4th down, he like, yeah, give me that. You know what I mean? Like it was relentless.
I got a question for you real quick. You say it's like, because the feeling that you explaining is kind of like the same feeling that I'm having. You don't really know what it is. Is it coaching? Is coaching the problem over there in Cincinnati? Because the same feeling that you describing, there's something wrong with our offense. We brought in new offensive linemen. We brought in all these new things, but the one thing that hasn't changed is the coach. So I'm wondering if is that a problem over there in Cincinnati as well?
For sure. I think our coach is a real good customer service agent. I don't think anybody on this panel would respect like or say, oh, I want Zach Taylor to be my coach. The one thing I will tell you as Bengals fans, he treats players like really, really well, manages their injuries and stuff like that. But you're not going to get no rah, rah, rah. Like I'll walk in the locker room right now and motivate them dudes like they never seen before. He's not like that. His feel for the game. I remember saying we were playing y'all in that Thursday night game. We in a smash mouth game. He calls a Philly special at the goal line. I go to the Super Bowl. We're playing the worst screen defending team in the National Football League, and the Rams doesn't throw one screen. He has a bad feel for the game sometimes, and coaching is a part of it. And this past week, our defensive coach, I feel like 1,000% it was coaching, because if you're not getting no pressure, you better manufacture some. And if they cook you with the blitz, hey, I'll take the L. I might end up like the Jags did against the Bills. Hey. You could roll the dice, but I'd rather get rich or die trying. Like that's just how I move. He's not like that. And
Zim, I got
That's
a
a
question
fucking
too.
cool.
Guy here from Australia doesn't know too much about football, but his team's winning 3-0. What are your thoughts about Jamar Chase and this comment that he made publicly? If Zbot can please bring it up, it'd be fantastic when it comes to the internet with his comments about being the hardest team to beat.
Ooh.
I think whether you talk like that or not, I don't think he said that for no reason. The Bengals just were playing for contention for a Super Bowl in 2023. I know that was 2 seasons ago, but the season ended in 2023 where they lost the AFC Championship game with a lot of fluky stuff, and they lost by 3 points. When he says that, he's saying competitively, yeah, they check out. Like, they played those teams and they beat all of these teams along the way. So I don't feel like that's crazy for him to say that, because whether he says it or not, they're still going to say you're a bum, you're 0-3 and all this other stuff, no matter what. Jamar just had 120 yards. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like he ain't back it up and go out there and play himself.
The way I see it, as a fan who doesn't know football for 24 years, right? The way I see it, it's really just inviting every other team to go beat you. It's a bit like the Chase Claypool thing we had a few years ago, losing never heard of it, and then the Commanders.
And that's the thing I think right now is the biggest thing that people hate on the Cincinnati Bengals for, is that week in and week out they're inviting further criticism by Cam Taylor-Britt saying something, Chase saying something. That I think is one. It's got to be a big issue for you, Zim, because you're adding fuel to the fire.
But let me ask you this: do you feel like all of your teams? I do kind of watch some of y'all press conferences and stuff like that. Be real with me. Don't you feel like some players do give like other teams bulletin board material every week? Like, I don't think anybody would say AFC like we run it, but
for my Steelers this year, I don't think I've seen too many things, but definitely in the years past they have. This year, I don't think so. Claypool a few years ago, for sure, he might do on the first down points in the Vikings and losing never heard of her. Oh yeah, 100%. And I know it does happen, but I just kind of find it a little bit funny. And maybe other teams are now like trying to fire themselves up to go and beat you because no one had the Commanders winning that game. And I know and also as athletes or football players, if we play sport, doesn't matter. You still got to back it up no matter what. If you say a good thing or a negative, positive thing or a negative, it doesn't matter. You still back it up. Now, there was a game where Juju went and did something on your field years ago, and you smacked him. And I thought you guys were fired up because of that, because he was doing the TikTok dance. So
I remember other things. I remember y'all spray painting black Air Force Ones and us kicking your ass before that game too. You see what I'm saying? So like, there's things that you probably remember that I don't remember. Like, I remember them saying, "Yeah, we're gonna put Air Force One," and Joe Burrow came to your stadium and said, "Yeah, we
won that one."
I thought it was the one where Joe Burrow comes and says, "We the big dogs," and y'all had the black Air Force Ones. And
I think that,
I don't know.
They won that
I feel like if you don't like somebody, you're not gonna like somebody, and regardless of what they say or whatever, like, you're just not gonna like that person. That's how I feel.
Sean Manahan coming in. Once the Bengals lose to Red Rifle in Carolina and drop to 0-4, how them odds gonna look? Damn. Tell you what, Red Rifle is looking like something this past weekend. 36 points. The lowly Carolina Panthers scored, beating the Las Vegas Raiders. Might not be as easy as it advertised, but my God, Sim, if the Bengals can't beat the Panthers this week, I don't know what to tell you. Sean's coming in again saying after 3 weeks, all we know, it's the Steelers, then it's everyone else for the North. Mark, how about that? Sean is feeling it with these Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's transition from Zim's surprising loss to another surprising loss in this division. I don't get it. Let's talk about what happens at the beginning of this Browns game, because this furthers my lack of understanding as to how this game went down. The opening kickoff, Browns booted off, classic Giants fashion, fumble the ball away. Deshaun Watson throws one of the best balls of the weekend, and within 10 seconds of the football game, it's 7-0. So you're basically spotted 7 points against one of the worst football teams in the league. And you would think that alone would be able to be built upon throughout the rest of the game and then therefore be able to win it. The Browns wouldn't score again until the fourth quarter, and they'd ultimately end up losing this game 21-15 to the New York Giants. Daniel Jones looked pretty competent. Malik Neighbors, once again, looking like one of the better wide receivers in this league. In terms of rookies, he's looking like one of the best rookies in this league right now. And once again, we just have no idea what these Cleveland Browns are. Week in and week out, it feels like they should have more than what they're giving us, and the end result isn't necessarily reflecting that. So, Mark, you see this game. The Giants go in winless. They're big underdogs on the road against Cleveland. They're down 7-0 in a blink of an eye. They find a way to win. Your takeaway from what the Browns look like against the Giants?
My takeaway is I've hexed everyone. Everyone here, from the Patriots to the Raiders to Chef Say and the Giants, I've given a clear win last week. I'll be very honest, not a college guy watching college football. I didn't really know who Malik Neighbors was, but now I'm a huge fan. I'm pretty sure he's from LSU, right? Is that right? Yeah. Hey, that guy's insane. I watched the game. I watched the 40 minutes, and I watched the full game yesterday or the day before. He's insane. There was a few routes and going to the end zone, and Danny Dimes just lights him up, makes him look like a superstar. So I didn't realize. I thought the Giants had no one. I thought they were a bad team, and this and this. But they were. Then I saw the first play was like, oh, fumble and Watson to the end zone. But they don't seem to be too consistent in their game plan and going down and getting points. And I know a lot of people getting at me in the first week, oh, you're only scoring field goals, but these guys are only scoring 1 TD or 2 TDs near the end. So I thought Malik Neighbors was on the show. I thought he was on fire. So I needed to check him more to college football because I thought he was absolutely awesome. And yeah, that to me was a big upset for the Giants.
Sam, your thoughts on the Browns game against the Giants?
I just think the Browns they're so difficult to decide if they're going to be good or not. I mean, last week it looked like Deshaun Watson turned the corner, and now it looks like he's back to being, the Deshaun Watson of week one. It just seems like the Browns don't know who they are, who they want to be, and it's tough to go with them. I mean, that Browns defense, I still think highly of it, but you lose to the Giants, it just doesn't look good. And I want to say that the Browns have a chance to compete in this division, but even though the Bengals are 0-3, I still have the Bengals being a tier above them. It just doesn't seem like you're getting consistent play from your QB. And you spend all that money on Deshaun Watson, you spend all that money, guaranteed money, bringing him in, and he's just not the guy. Even after week 2, it seemed like he was talking about being the game manager, being there, I just give the ball to those playmakers. You're the playmaker. You're the $200+ million playmaker, and he's not playing like it so far. And as the weeks go on, you have to wonder what the Browns are thinking as far as 2026, and that's what Browns fans have to be thinking about. They can't think about this year because it looks like their season's over before it started.
Zim, what do you make of this whole thing? Cleveland, rough start in week 1, get blown out by Dallas, bounce back and get a bit against Jacksonville, and then somehow find a way to drop one in New York where I would guess the majority of people didn't see it coming at all.
Last week on the show, I said the Giants are a lot better than what people are thinking based off of the game I had just watched, and I talked about Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors reminds me of Jamar Chase. I don't think he has Joe Burrow as his quarterback. He's big, he's strong, and he's fast as hell. That dude is serious. And the way that they use him to be able to force feed somebody that many targets and still be open, and the Browns pride themselves on having one of the best secondaries in the NFL. So if you think that you got one of the best secondaries in the NFL and this dude goes crazy like that, they really had no answers for him. I felt like I thought the Giants could have went more to him in the second half. I thought that I was wondering, why do they keep on having Martin Emerson on this dude? If y'all telling me that the warden is the warden, why is he not on the?
But he did though.
Why is he not the best guy? Like all them passes, the first touchdown was on Emerson. Or I mean, the jump ball on the sideline on the left hash was on Emerson. The touchdown was on Emerson, and I'm saying, where's the warden? So all these different things that they tell us about, it's something to be said about the amount of money that's spent. And something. This is the one thing when I was a kid. Too much of anything is like a bad thing. And that even is like money too. When you're spending that amount of money on a whole bunch of people that aren't like homegrown, that you didn't acquire, that they didn't come up in your system, it's just like this little bit of variability with their team that it just makes it funny to me. And it puts so much pressure on their front office because you're paying 10 people $10+ million. Their payroll is nuts. Mm-hmm. And for them to have the results that they're having, it just goes to show you, like, you can't just buy a team. And Deshaun Watson, rightfully so, gets a lot of criticism. We're in the 3rd year of this, and people still telling me give him time and stuff like that. That's not the way the NFL works. Like, there are guys that get canned way before that, but because of the $230 million that's attached to them, they can't let him go. So they find themselves like trying to create different reasons on why I think he's this or why he's that and all these different things. because you're trapped in a money situation that it's hard for you to get out of. I know that you want your team to win, but you got to go watch other teams and go watch some of these other quarterbacks play that aren't getting shit. They're playing way better than this dude. And statistically, him coming into this game, he was one of the worst quarterbacks in football. I thought he turned the corner like Sam just said. Watching this game, I don't feel that way. And I think that it always starts with your leader. And when you win, they're going to look at him and be like, Deshaun is the dude. And when you lose, this is just the unfortunate reality of it, that he's going to get the brunt of a lot of criticism, and largely because of the money that's attached to him.
Zay, I know this one's got to sting. Another sub 200 night or afternoon rather for Deshaun Watson. They could not run the ball once again. And then the inability to score after that, literally the first play of the football game all the way until the fourth quarter. The Giants don't score a single point in the second half and still wind up finding a way to win. Just give me your best synopsis of what's going on right now in Cleveland and what your overall thoughts are on it.
Honestly, don't even know where to start because there's so much I could talk about. I don't want to really get too deep into the Deshaun Watson thing, but, Zim mentions it starts with your leader. Our leader is Kevin Stefanski. This man ran the ball 6 times for 8 yards in the first half and completely abandoned the run when you have a 7-0 lead and one of the best starts to a game that you can possibly. You mean to tell me in the first 15 seconds of the game you get a fumble recovery and then you come out and get a score and then you come out and get an interception that's negated by what? You can't have a better start than that. And the fact that you ran the ball 6 times, Deontay Foreman comes out last week and gets you 16 carries throughout the game, and now this week he only has 2. What is this bipolar offense that you're running right now? So the blame, like that's why I asked you, Zim, like, what's that feel like down there? Because there's so much stuff going on with this offense that's wrong. It's not just Deshaun Watson. It's not just the offensive line. It's not just the coaching. It's a collective of everything right now. And the fact that we're sitting here week in and week out, not knowing what our identity is, when literally we know that our strong suit on our offensive line is to run the damn ball. You saw that last week when you got the W, and then you turn around this week and you refuse to run the ball when you literally are spotted 7 points. So that to me right there is just unbelievable in itself. The one thing that I know for certain is that this defense is still as good or still as dominant as they once was. I look back at this box score. I don't know if you guys tune into any of my stuff that I do, but I do keys to victory. And my first 2 keys to victory, they completely ignored. The first one is don't judge the book by its cover. Read the whole book. They read the first few pages of this book. They came out on fire. And then guess what happened? The second key is ignore the zebras. They let that penalty dictate that drive. And after getting the stop, they peel off 13 plays for 80-something plus yards. And then you know how that story goes. But the plus side of that is the defense knows how to make adjustments. The offense doesn't. So there's so many bad things going on right now. And it all pretty much circulates around the offense. And it starts with, like Zim says, with your leader, which is the coach.
Hey Zay, are they missing Nick Chubb?
Oh, of course they're missing Nick Chubb. They're missing everything that has to do with a run game, period, whether it be Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, whatever offensive lineman filled in last year. I don't know. But it doesn't matter because Kevin Stefanski is only going to run them 10 times anyway, 12 times anyway. It's not like he's going to establish the run game like we need. And I think you're seeing it across the league. The league is feeding off of the run game across the entire league. And it's slowly starting to make a comeback and how important it is to this game. Because if you can control the run game, like the Baltimore Ravens up there, as much as people don't want to see Lamar Jackson run that damn ball, you guys are better when he's carrying it 14 plus times. And I mentioned that last week on the podcast. So as much as people want to go, oh, let's pass here, let's air it out 24/7. As you can see, the run game is still as important as it was 10 years ago.
In the all season, when Deshaun and people were saying they were going to spread, teams out, were you all like happy to? Because on my end, I was like, yes, thank you. I rather that than I had to deal with these big ass people up front and us trying to stop the run consistently. Do you feel like at the time that, like you said, they don't have an identity? Do you feel like that's what they're trying to do is like spread teams out and throw the ball around?
I told you this, guys, on the past couple episodes too. Everything that I've seen in training camp is which I was afraid of is exactly panning out. These guys are dink and dunking. They didn't air anything out in training camp or in preseason. When did we see any air it out offense? We saw none of that. We sat here week in and week out and said, well, we still have questions about Deshaun Watson's shoulder. We don't know if he can throw it. What new Ken Dorsey thing are we seeing right now? They haven't done anything new other than find new ways to lose.
It's tough. I don't know what's going on in Cleveland. It just feels like on paper that team should be better. Last year they were better, and it just makes you wonder when it's going to flip. It just feels like that's what everybody's waiting for, and we've yet to get it. We'll see if we wind up getting it down the line here. The Browns coming up here have a game against the Raiders. Similar to this past week, Zay, you got to feel like this could be the get-right spot. You thought that might be it against the Giants. If it's not it against the Raiders, it makes you wonder. I know Stefanski, coach of the year type caliber guy, right? That's what you think of him as. But questions are going to start mounting after the weeks continue to build here, where you're not getting it done against the teams that you should. Big test for the Browns coming up against the Raiders this week. Easy Rollins coming in. He's saying, let's talk about the winners. Here we go, Steelers. And that is exactly where we are about to transition to. But before we do, it's my favorite time of the show, talking to you about my favorite underpants. That's over at Shinesty. Right now, folks, at Shinesty, we're running a killer deal for you to get in on all of these insane designs. RTS10 is the promo code. Links down in the description below, by the way. You click on that. You add one of these beautiful designs, 100 of them, whatever, go nuts. 10% off with the promo code RTS10. You're scrolling through your guys. I usually scroll through the boxers. It wasn't until the other day that I discovered the briefs. Are you taking a look at these briefs? Imagine you take down your shorts at night after a big W like Sam and Mark just experienced, and you're staring the apple pie right in the face in the mirror. That's what you could be doing with Shinesty.
You know what we call those in Australia? They're called budgie smugglers.
Is that what they call them?
What?
Budgie smugglers. Think about it.
We're gonna lay the hammer down, man.
Look at that. Well, listen, if you want to lay the hammer down with the budgie budgie smugglers? What is it?
Yeah, like the bird, like a little budgie. You know what a budgie is and what it looks like? Budgie smugglers.
I'll tell you what, Mark. I don't think anyone's ever said budge in the United States ever, unless they're getting budged in line. I've never heard that before in my life, but I think I love it. If you want to get one more time, what is it? The budgie snugglers?
No, budgie smugglers. Like
you're smuggling a budgie, Z-Bot.
Yeah, they call them Dicky Bird.
What are we doing now? What's the next? What is this other one?
You haven't heard that? The budgies, they call them Dicky Birds.
No, you just said another one. Dicky something.
Dicky Birds, yeah.
Dicky Birds. All right, man.
Dicky Birds.
I got to start getting myself up on this Australian lingo. If you want a pair of one of these incredible Dicky Birds over on Shinesty, RTS10 is the promo code.
What is that, like the Ravens nickname or something?
Oh, man.
Hey.
Damn. That was beautifully done, Zim. Congrats on that. That was beautifully done. We're going to talk about these Steelers first, though, because we need to give these Steelers their props. 3-0 are these Pittsburgh Steelers in a way that could not be done by anybody else other than Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. A 2-0 start that seemed to be completely driven by defense. This past weekend, the Steelers also had a little bit of that offense to go along with dominant defense. And Justin Fields finally, despite the pick, seemed to be unleashed a little bit more. 32 attempts, near 250 yards, a touchdown through the air. Najee Harris had a pretty decent day. Calvin Austin with that big-time touchdown to seal it. These Steelers, each and every week, they're just doing enough. They know they have the defense to get it done. And credit to Justin Fields, he's doing exactly what is necessary for these Steelers to get in and out of each week with a W, and that has resulted in them being one of only 5 teams remaining in the NFL right now with an undefeated record. So, Sam, I'll start with you here. The Steelers, it's anybody's guess as to how they continue to mount these wins. No one wants to give them the credit. Are you willing to give them the credit through 3 weeks being one of the only undefeated teams left in the league?
It's time. It's time to give the Steelers the credit they deserve. They beat the Chargers, a team who I think is one of the better teams in the AFC. It's time. I mean, Justin Fields looks like he's going to be at least a decent QB, and the Steelers' defense is good enough where that's all you really need. This defense is humming. They're dangerous. I'm not looking forward to playing them come this season. They're just looking so good. And the fact that they're doing it and the way they did it this week, it's just the offense is clicking now. The defense always doing what he need to do. Mike Tomlin, I think, is the top 5 head coach in the league regardless, so it doesn't matter. And having that formula, this is a dangerous team. This isn't a pretender team. This isn't let's see what they do 3 weeks from now. They're dangerous now. I think they're one of the teams that could potentially supplant the Bills, Ravens, and the Chiefs to be one of the top teams in the AFC. This team was looking good. I thought I was going to wait for the Chargers game to really get my thoughts on it, and I think they're a top 5 team in the AFC. So kudos to the Steelers and kudos to Mike Tomlin.
Easy Rollins coming in. He's saying 3-0. Just find a way to win. It's exactly what Pittsburgh's done. Zay, your biggest takeaway from Pittsburgh through the first 3 weeks here and doubling up the Chargers this past Sunday.
Zim, is he a Steeler fan or a Ravens fan? Do we got two Steeler fans on this panel? I mean, what are we talking about right now? Like,
there's such a likable guy, though. I feel like I don't know.
That's why I can't pile to him, because I've been giving respect to the Steelers every week. I mean, it's the one thing that I've been doing because of Mike Tomlin. Like, you can't hate what you're seeing from this team, unfortunately. As much as I want to sit here and say, Mark, go to hell, y'all are trash. I mean, I got to wait until y'all fall off that cliff first. But I'm not going to sit here and say that y'all are one of the best teams in the AFC. And this is exactly, it's like, what's that meme? Who was it? You are who we thought they were. They are exactly who we have known for the past 20 plus years. Let's just wait a little while longer. We've seen this story come out 11-0 before, and we've seen them boys come through and put that thing to win. And so this is fine. It's fine. Give them the respect. Hats off to a great start. But as far as them being at the top and dethroning guys like Josh, let me see it first before we can get that far. But hats off to you, Mark. You guys are handling business.
I understand the trepidation, not wanting to crown them as one of the best teams in the AFC, but this defense, I mean, this is absolutely insane. Justin Herbert was 12 of 18 for 125 yards. The leading rusher, J.K. Dobbins, going into the weekend, was the best running back in football. He averaged less than 3 yards a carry. This defense gave up a laughable 166 total yards of offense. Zim, I mean, I don't know if I want to go. When Sam said they're going to surpass the Bills, I had to do a little bit of a double take there. I'm not willing to go there yet, but I'm willing to say that this team is nobody anybody wants to face on a given week.
You know, it's a regular season conversation, and then there's also a playoff conversation. In a regular season, yes, I don't think nobody want no smoke with that front. I will go out there. I don't know about the team in its totality, but if you watch them up front and the way that they can rotate Herbert in there, and they got all these guys, and you got Cam Hayward is just like, he's almost like just another guy on there, and he would be probably the best defensive lineman on my team. You know what I mean? Like their front is nasty, bro. And it goes before the season. I wasn't the biggest fan of Dante Jackson and stuff. He's giving up a quarterback rating of like 36. So when you have a defensive front playing like that, it gives the back end so much room. Part of what's going on with you, Zay, and the Browns too, is that I felt like the pass rush and everything aids the secondary so much. And this year, I don't feel like I don't know if it's Myles Garrett foot or whatever he got going on or whatever, but the amount of pressure that I just see up front, just the push, and all of these Steelers games, the Chargers coming into that game were grading out as one of the best offensive fronts in football. Like all got cooked on a couple of snaps, and he's been playing like one of the best, offensive linemen like in football. So that front is serious. Aside from that, it's hard for me to commit to them in like a playoff like setting because of the firepower that you have to go up against. Like it's just impractical to think that you're going to keep somebody under 10 points, and then you're going to have Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, all these dudes that's going to be gunning and like coming to take your head off. And I think that those great quarterbacks can get past that front. But as it stands right now, if your offensive line is not ready to get into the fight of their lives, you're going to get your ass whooped by the Steelers.
Zay, you're catching a little bit of heat all of a sudden. William Davenport coming in. He's saying, Zay, admit TJ Watt's the lifetime DPOY over Garrett, who's undeserved.
I would never do that. Never. When have you ever? All I gotta say is Google Myles Garrett versus Tennessee Titans. You have never seen linemen follow two guys follow one guy to block him and then have to burn a timeout because of it. TJ Watt's not getting that type of respect.
After that, Google Myles Garrett YMCA basketball. You'll never see anything more.
Oh my God. That dude is insane. I'm scared of, I told y'all episode 1, you'll never get a take from me saying anything bad about Myles Garrett. I'm scared to death of that dude. Like,
I don't know anybody who couldn't be. That dude is literally the Hulk if the Hulk was walking among us. Easy Rollins is also saying to you, Zay, didn't Zay say the Steelers would finish last? In your defense, Zay, I think the vast majority of people probably said the same thing.
Just mark it, bookmark it, save it, screenshot it, because when this falls down, you best believe I'm going to be standing over the grave cheering and doing my victory lap. So I'm just waiting. I'm waiting patiently. It's week 3, guys, not week 15.
Marky Mark and the undefeated bunch. The floor is yours. Talk to me about these undefeated Steelers.
I just want to say, we don't play the Bills. This comparison about you got to go play with these teams, yada yada yada. I don't think it makes very much sense. We don't play the Bills this year, so get off that notion. That's more the guys in the chat too, not you blokes here. You guys gave some good praise to the Steelers. This Steelers is a really great defense, number 1 overall in the league. But that's the one thing I hear the most is the Steelers haven't played anyone yet. They just went and beat the Chargers, and they shouldn't have played Herbert. They should have played someone else in that part. He played injured. I don't care. They shut down J.K. Dobbins, who was leading week 2 weeks, 200 yards. They allowed like 60-something yards on defense. Haven't played anyone yet. The Falcons just got close to beating the Chiefs. They're 1-2. They're going to be a good side. And Denver, we went into Denver and beat them. Yeah, we took care of business. But that stuff makes no sense to me because here's why it makes no sense. And not really picking on you blokes here, more the AFC North chat in the chat, right? When you go to the Steelers have allowed, and I'm going to stats, 26 points in stats, right? 8.7 points allowed, right, per game defense. We haven't played anyone yet. The Chargers are allowing 11 points per game. The Denver Broncos are allowing 15 points per game. And the Atlanta Falcons are allowing 20 points per game, which is less than all the AFC North teams with the Ravens, the Browns, and the Bengals. So we haven't played anyone yet. That's all I got. I honestly have nothing. I have fucking nothing else. We haven't played anyone yet. When you guys out there, the AFC North teams, like we've won 3, and you guys have lost 7 as a collective. You are bringing down. We talked about this is the best division in the NFL. Everyone else is bringing it down except the Steelers. We haven't played anyone yet. I just don't get that.
Mark, you're carrying it. You're carrying. You tell it that you're carrying the goddamn division on your back.
That's
Literally.
You play who's in front of you. The Buffalo Bills just went and smoked the Jaguars, who need to go move to London. They suck.
You said it, not me, Mark.
But you play who's in front of you. I don't get this idea of like you haven't played anyone yet, but then 3 weeks ago, the Falcons were going to beat us. The Denver Broncos and Mark Schreller, the stink out there was stunk or something. He was going off on something too. We're saying, they're going to score 14 TDs. Then it was, the Chargers are going to come to their house and Herbert are going to run over our defense. Now we didn't play anyone yet? Come on, man. Like, fucking get real. I'm done. I'm done.
Mark, I'll say this. They're going to say the same thing next week after you whip Anthony Richardson's ass, because I guarantee you there's no way his turnover-prone second season here is going to be able to score enough points to beat Mike Tomlin's defense. I think the odds of these Steelers being 4-0 by this time next week are incredibly high. And like we keep saying here, say what you want. This defense right now, what are they allowing per game? 9 points a game?
I have one question. I got one question.
4 field goals.
I heard something on the is Highsmith injured? Is he out? What's wrong with Highsmith?
He's got an injured, I think it's like a groin or something like that, but it won't matter because he's a great player, but we still got Herbig to rotate. And DeMarvin Leal is playing defensive end also outside linebacker too. Okay. And this defense is on fire right now. Secondary's played the best it's ever played in a very long time. TJ Watt is inspired. He's fired up. The defense with Minka, you never see him because no one's throwing the ball towards him. They're playing really good football on defense. And this is the Zay said about the running backs coming back. We're running the football. We're doing enough. Justin Fields is getting comfortable. And yes, it does look like Fields will come back to be the Steelers quarterback number 1. I'm only going off what Mike Tomlin says. But Mike Tomlin doesn't tell anyone anything. But he knows what's happening with the organization. So it's going to be Fields. And then Wilson might get a chance. But they probably will announce Fields the next week or the week after. At this point, I don't really care. We're winning football games. Fields going out there throwing dimes to Austin. He's not turning the ball over, and they're playing good defense to win 10 points. And the Chargers, who are running over everyone, and that's what I said. We didn't beat anyone yet, but the Chargers were a great side going in, and now they're a terrible side.
I was wrong. Remember, I'll be the first one to admit I said that I thought the Chargers were going to win that game. So Mark, talk that shit. That's why I'm here. I came here. I came to AFC North Roundtable for you to get your shit off. I'm with it. Like that's what I live for that. Like that's what I'm about.
I don't want to be too high on my horse, but this team is a really great defense. And that's what I'm going off too. Like I said, we're so freaking worried about receiver 2 and this and that, and who's their quarterback. But they forgot about the defense. And the defense, one of the biggest pickups was Deshaun Elliott. He's been playing outstanding football at safety. Patrick Queen came into his own today. Keanu Benton's playing well. In going to offense, Zach Frazier playing well on the offensive side. But the defense keeps in a game. Mike Tomlin's a veteran coach, knows what to do. And Steeler Nation still complains about something. We didn't score 27 points. You didn't need to. Najee went down to then finish the game with minute 40. So we could have scored more points. But I feel like this year they checked in. Last year was tough with Trubisky and Kenny Pickett. But it does feel like this year they checked in. Yes, it can all fall over like that because it always comes back to the 11-0 season because stupid Chase Claypool and we fell over. The Commanders got us and then Bengals got us and anyone else got us. We fell over completely. Then the Browns got us in the playoffs. So that's what it comes back to because if we need to shake it off, and the only way you do that is keep winning games and then also win a playoff game.
And that's pretty much what Will's saying here right now with the 3 backups last year, and you go 5-1 in the North, you make the playoffs. And look, I think everybody in the AFC would be in agreement on one thing. They're praying to God the Steelers never get a competent offense because if they do, I don't know who the hell's ever going to beat this team. You score 20 points and you double up the LA Chargers. And it wasn't even remotely close. 166 yards in the NFL with Justin Herbert and the leading rusher going into the weekend. That's embarrassing, but it's not because of their own incompetency. It's because of how good that defense is. And everybody knows when TJ Watt is healthy, in my opinion, he is on a short list of 3 or 4 guys that outside of the quarterback position are the most important player to their team in the entire NFL. When that guy is healthy, this Steelers team is nobody. Nobody wants to see him. Like last year when the Bills met with the Steelers in the wild card, do you know the sigh of relief Bills fans had that TJ Watt wasn't going to be able to play in that game? Because it's a whole different ball game when that guy's out there and that defense is showing you through 3 weeks exactly why people think that way. Rollins is hating tonight. Easy Rollins is hating tonight with these super chats. He's saying Bengals lost to the Commanders, laughing emoji. Browns down to the Giants. We held the Chargers to. Oh my God! He's dancing on you guys down below right now.
-5 yards
easy,
second half.
Rollins, easy.
2016. Chill.
All right. Hey, here we go with.
That's the last time y'all won a playoff game, in case anybody was wondering.
Oh, we know. I know for sure.
When's the last time Cleveland won one? I'm not trying to hate. I'm just wondering.
Oh, them. We kicked their ass.
Big Ben's last year, right? How could I forget? That was actually
48 to 35 or something like that.
What happened after that, though, Zay? You ran into Chad Henne and couldn't finish the job?
The refs. What we talking about here? We ran into Kansas City Chief. You know how that go. Come on, man. We got victimized.
You said I know how that go. Yeah,
you know how that go.
I do know. You could win and go to a Super Bowl.
Or you can complain like you've been doing all the pass. The Chiefs always get the pass interference. Like I'm gonna retweet another.
That's not me.
I will say, Sam, I will give you all the credit in the world. As hot as you came into the season talking about your Bengals, I will give you all the credit in the world. I've been looking at you on Twitter as well to see what the pulse is because from the Bills' perspective, I got to check in on these Bengals fans and see what's up. You have been keeping it real, and I got to give you credit for that. You flat out said this is a bad football team right now, and there's really no other way to put it. So I will give you the credit for that.
That's why I rock with him. That's why I rock with him.
Some of you guys with the names, by the way, these usernames that are all one word, you really are kicking in my brain. Does a 180. I cannot. So what do you guys think this is? Teen Crew? How would you pronounce this?
Dante. He's one of my blokes from Steelers. Dante.
Mark. It would have taken me 20 minutes to figure out Dante. Good for you. That is incredible. Dante D. Crew. It should be that easy. He's saying, talk that shit, Mark. And that's exactly what you just did. You pretty much just came in here and told the boys what's up. You said great now, and that's that. Will's coming back in. Defensive Player of the Year stat alone, Steelers 1-12. I mean, see, this is why what I just said. I was listening to Coward the other day. He had a great argument about A.J. Brown maybe being one of the best players outside of the quarterback in terms of their team succeeding. And as he was on that rant, the whole time I'm thinking to myself, no. That's TJ Watt. And right there is the perfect example. This team cannot win without him. And when he's out there, not only do they win, this defense looks like the 85 Bears. There's really no other way to put it. So hats off to you, Mark. And you got a game coming up against a Colts team that offensively looks as anemic as it gets right now in the league. So 4-0 might be in your favor. Speaking of a team on the opposite end that won't have anything going in their favor this upcoming weekend, these Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk about these Ravens who decimate the Dallas Cowboys this past weekend. Don't get it twisted. We look at the final score, 28-25. If you looked at the box score, you're thinking, man, this one must have been a barn burner. No. These Baltimore Ravens absolutely took these Cowboys to the woodshed. The mark of a good team, fellas, when you play the Cowboys and you beat the piss out of them, that usually means you're a pretty good football team. That's what the Baltimore Ravens did this past weekend, 28-25, the final. Lamar didn't have to go crazy through the air, only 12 of 15. 15 attempts, though, for 182 yards. You're signing up for that. They let him run the ball more this past week, 14 for 87. Derrick Henry, welcome to the Ravens. 25 carries for $151. I believe they went for almost 300 yards on the ground against these boys. So don't get it twisted. The garbage time numbers for Dallas do not reflect how dominant Baltimore was in this game. Mark, I'll go to you. A couple of really tough losses for Baltimore to kick the season off. They exerted those demons this past weekend against Dallas. Your takeaway from what Baltimore displayed, especially in the run game, the debut. And by the way, I want to mention, I know last week we were saying Derrick Henry might not fit in this Baltimore offense. Boy, he proved us wrong this past weekend against Dallas.
Yeah, and that's Ravens football. If you're running the ball 274, yards, if you don't win that game, I don't know what happened to you. So shout out to them. But every week too, guy, I don't know if you guys do it as well because I can't stand any of your teams. But I've been taking parlays where I go against you guys, and I could have won big money this weekend if Cowboys came back to win. But Cowboys left way too late to do anything. So yeah, shout out to you guys, Ravens. That's Raven football. That's like smash mouth. That's Lamar Jackson, had 15 throws and whatnot, did what he needed to do, ran the ball 80 yards, and you're allowing Derrick Henry to run over you. That's the kind of stuff, and we'll see if it wins Ravens versus Steelers. That's when it's kind of fun, those kind of games too. Or even any of our AFC North matchups coming up shortly is when the two powerhouses and you run the rock and I try and stop it. So Cowboys weren't physical enough. That was in their stadium. I thought they had a chance, and I thought there'd be maybe an upside. I thought they were going to win the game by 3 or 4 points, but dead set. If you run the rock like that, you got more than likely you're going to win. And that could be a turning point for the Ravens season. And this is a big, big game we'll talk about later on versus the Bills.
Mark, I know you said that you were betting against your division foes, and I totally
Every
get
week.
that. I love that. I love it. If I can give you one bit of advice, if you take anything away from the whole season here from this show, anytime the Dallas Cowboys are playing a competent football team, I promise you, if you bet the other team, your mortgage or your rent or whatever the hell you got going on, it's going to be paid for.
Well,
Zim, Mark, go ahead. What do you
Lamar
got?
Jackson. Sorry, one more thing. Well, Lamar Jackson's really good record, isn't he? Against NFL teams,
21-1 against the NFC. I mean, that is disgusting.
Yeah, that is
That's
wild.
where I was
dude.
going.
That
Sorry.
is essentially the record Tom Brady had against my Buffalo Bills. He was 33-3 all time. That's what Lamar Jackson's got going on against the NFC. Zim,
Oh,
are the Ravens back, or do the Cowboys just blow?
the Ravens never left. The
Okay.
Ravens never left.
Mm.
So I will say that to me, I think that they're the best team in the AFC North. I'm sorry, Mark. Right now, even with the Steelers' defense, Justin Fields showed me a lot. It's a long season, all right, but just moving forward in this game, I thought that it blows my mind, and you kind of stole a little bit of my thunder. How NFC teams are so unprepared to play him. It just blows. I remember them play the Lions like this last year. Same circumstances, beat the piss out of them. And I was just thinking to myself, like, What are you doing at the mesh point? You're not going to hit him. You know, you're like, I'm watching this game and I'm watching all these different things. Why are you taking these angles? Michael Parsons. That was my key last week. I'm saying, Michael Parsons, you can line him up He was a liability in the run game. Whenever the mesh point of this is going to Derrick Henry or I'm keeping it, he didn't know what to do. It was like, I don't know what they did from a practice standpoint to get ready for it, but NFC teams have nothing for this dude. They need to like go watch film on like the Steelers playing them and like other teams that hit him early, like all these different things that you can kind of employ. Where the zero looks, backing out of it, where's all this stuff? They didn't do that. They took it to him. I think the Ravens, I'm glad they're playing the Bills. Because I feel like the Bills are the hottest team in football. I'm sorry, Z-Bot, you don't want that juju on you, but you're the hottest team in football right now. And I'm glad that they're playing them. Because if I could get a loss for the Ravens coming up, woo! The other thing that I will point out, and I don't know, and I will ask Sam this: are you concerned? I know that this was in a comeback effort, but the Ravens being last in the NFL in pass defense, and then getting 379, almost 400 yards from Dak put on them without CeeDee Lamb playing like the worst game like I've ever seen. Ferguson was getting off. Are you concerned? I guess, about the pass defense or Dak going forward?
I'm not concerned about Dak putting up those numbers. I am concerned about the pass defense. It's just not good. We're last in the league. So no matter how you slice it, we're just not good right now. But we have the talent to turn things around. So I'm not overly concerned, but it's definitely the Achilles heel of this team right now. And I'll touch on it more when Z-Bot gets to me. But yeah, that's definitely a concern. No doubt about it.
Zay, talk to me. What did you see from Baltimore this past weekend, and do you think they can build on the performance that they had against the Cowboys?
I've been saying it. I'll continue to say it. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens are at their best when Lamar Jackson is using his feet. I don't care what anybody says. You want Lamar Jackson, the running back. It just opens up so much. And it goes back to what I said earlier in the show. It's showing you the power of the rushing game. 45 rushes is pure domination. You're going to wear any defense out if you run the ball 45 times, and especially with Derrick Henry. And oh, by the way, the most dynamic guy with the football in Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's a perfect recipe for success. And then you mix in Lamar Jackson, 3 incomplete passes. That's a nightmare. So if the Ravens are going to continue to dominate and run the ball like that, and Derrick Henry's going to, you know, it seems as if he's lighter on his feet. He definitely looked like he moving a little bit faster than them Tennessee days. The Ravens will be fine, and we'll be sitting here, you know, in 5, 6, 7 in a row type talk. But I'm anxious to know what Samuel says. He says the pass defense is the Achilles heel. We know how much passing is a big thing in here. I see 19 points in the fourth quarter. They still have fourth quarter problems. And it don't matter what you do in the first 3 quarters. If you can't, you know, close out in that fourth, you can give up games. And that's the one thing that the Ravens are, you know, subjected to do, is give up a lot of games in the fourth. So I'm not worried about them. They'll continue to move forward.
Zay, that was a great analysis, but next time you talk about Lamar, let's bring it down a little bit. I think you get a little too excited about Lamar.
I just give credit where credit is due. I'm a Joe Burrow guy too, so I mean,
I don't know. I'm not feeling the same energy for Joe though. Like,
it's because people,
tell me, don't he get a little excited?
It's because people. It blows my mind how much hate Lamar Jackson gets. You know, they always knock him for his running ability, but he's at his best when he's running. I don't understand why it's a knock. And then when he is running the ball and he goes 12 or 15, you getting carved up from both ways. So you almost like, I just don't understand why people hate it when it clearly works.
Sam, this is the version of the Ravens we thought we'd see off the jump with the acquisition of Derrick Henry, not having to have Lamar Jackson sling the ball all over the field, allowing him to be more efficient in the pass game with the run game backing that up. I mean, this was a picture-perfect example, I think, of what everyone thought the Ravens could be with Derrick Henry leading the charge. I mean, this was domination. Once again, I can't say it enough. 28-25 does not reflect what these Ravens were able to do to this Dallas defense. And as a Penn State football fan, it pains me to watch Micah Parsons have to hop on his podcast once again and explain why this defense is getting walked on. And Derrick Henry not only walked on him, he walked on him, spit on him, he sat on him, he did whatever he wanted to do against him. So What did you take away from the Ravens here getting their first win and doing it in a way that we all thought the Ravens would be capable of when the season started?
This is the team I envisioned when they picked up Derrick Henry. This is it. This is what we're talking about. To Zim's point, yeah, the NFC really struggles against Lamar Jackson. I looked at the game, watched all 22. The DC of the Cowboys should be fired. I mean, Michael Parsons was at the end the entire time. They looked like they didn't know what a read option was. They didn't pick up what Max Crosby and Chris Jones did to the O-line. They didn't put him in position. Didn't have him on stunts against the interior line. It was just Michael Parsons doing his job and just filling gaps and hoping that his teammates did the same. And you can't do that against this team. Lamar Jackson's too good. Derrick Henry's too good. The O-line's not the greatest, but the interior line, they're still big guys. They'll move you if you think you're just going to sit there and just play 11 on 11. You need to have disruption at the interior of that defense to really cause problems for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and the Cowboys going to do that. So it's great to see what the Ravens are doing. Love Lamar Jackson. I think he's having a great season. I think besides Josh Allen, he's probably in the running for MVP. I know it's early to say, but he's played as good as he has for the past 2 or so years. So I'm very excited for what we see from Lamar Jackson. But their pass defense is still giving me a little bit of concern. The talent's still there, so I'm assuming it's a defense problem with the coaching. Zach Orr is still his first year as DC, so maybe they need to get acclimated. But the Bills are coming up. The Bengals are coming up. Even though the Bengals are 0-3, they just put up 30-some-odd points on the Commanders, so they're still a dangerous team. Get this pass defense together, and we're talking about a team that's going to, as they said, pick up 6 or 7 straight wins, potentially a seeding conversation heading into the end of the season. But right now, can't complain. Got our first win, and hopefully more to come.
There you have it, folks. Week 3 in the books, and we recapped it all. Mark Steelers stand alone at 3-0. The Ravens pick up their first W. Zay and Zim looking to get back on the board this upcoming week. And speaking of which, we will be previewing Week 4 on an upcoming episode later in the week of the AFC North Roundtable. So with that said, on the way out the door, make sure to hit the like button. Really make sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you are notified of the preview of Week 4 coming up later this week. And, of course, the recap of Week 4 next week. That's sure to be a good one, as it always is. Of course, on your way out the door as well, make sure to take advantage of that 150% sign-up bonus we have going on for you over at BetUS. Use the promo code YouTube150. That'll get you a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit, and 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits after that. For Mark, Sam, Zay, and Zim, I'm your host, Z-Bot. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the AFC North Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one.